Linux, how Linux into the market, and difference between Windows and Linux in a very easy way. What happening in the background? So guys, careful with your cameras. First one, be careful with your mics also. Okay. If you really want to talk, unmute and talk. Okay. Test your cameras first, or test your mics in a normal time. Yeah, Rohan. So if you are really talking, just you can unmute and talk. No problem. Okay. But if you open the mic and leave it on a roadside, then it is disturbance for everyone. Okay. And already my mind is from morning onwards still a little bit not in a that position. Okay. Okay. So whatsoever it is, guys, we started a recording. Yes. So I'm starting operating system. Last time for we explained what is operating system, guys. Operating system is not application. Operating runs an application. Operating system is nothing but a software. And don't ask like if it is a software means can I uninstall or install operating. So installation is it's not application. First of all, operating system is not an application. It is operating your hardware and interact with the user. Okay, it is not a application. But it is a piece of code only. It is a piece of code, software, program, whatever you say, like a program. Also, a good word, program, software, a piece of code. Okay, a piece of code you can say. Okay, source code we are telling source code, right? So, like piece of code it is. Program which interacts with your hardware. So, hardware means like a CPU, RAM, motherboard components, disk, or anything. Just it is hardware components, printers, scanners, everything. So interacts. Interacts with your hardware and runs. Hardware and users and runs applications, services, programs on it. Okay, so operating system is basically two parts. One is interact with the hardware, interact with the users, and runs applications. So that is the main thing of operating system. Operating system has kernel and shell. Majorly two parts. As we discussed, Linux is not an operating system. Yes, Linux is kernel. Linux is kernel or kernel, potato, whatever it is, Okay. Kernel, shell, like that. Okay. So kernel. So when you say it's a kernel interacts your hardware. Hardware means hardware components. Shell interacts with the user commands and run applications like that. So whatever it is, like directly user and so it is a two-layer kind of stuff. One is a kernel, another is a shell. So like this, go to the paint. So this is the diagram, and this is the another one. So whenever it comes to the Linux or Unix, so we discussed generally is about a kernel and a shell also. There is a big diagram is also there. So it's a multi-layer kernel shell diagram is there. So that is also we should know it. Guys, it's a compulsory thing. Must know what is kernel and shell. This is my hardware. Hardware means my processor, RAM, BIOS, chipsets, my hard disk, network connections. All these things are a hardware. Kernel knows how to manage those things. Kernel knows how to work with the hardware. Okay. So of course there's a device drivers. Drivers are there. So like they know how to interact with the more interaction. A specific device is there. You don't know how to interact with a specific device. So then you can use a particular program to interact with. That is a device drivers. What are the device drivers? It's also a program for a specific device purpose. So your OS don't know how to interact with the particular device. So these drivers will help you to understand or to make a communication between your OS to your hardware. Okay, it's into the kernel part. Shell is user interface. Shell is provide a user interface, user commands, okay, user input. The shell understand what is the input of the user and convert the user given input information into kernel understandable language. The kernel understand and convert into machine understandable language. Guys understand? User given a input. User giving a input or a command. Okay, input or a command like he given. So based on that input or a command, so shall understand what is user is given. The shall understand user is given. So based on that shell program, so it understand and convert everything into the machine understandable language. Machine understandable language, like a low level language, machine level language, like that. Hexa code, binary code, like the whatever it is, it will give it to the kernel. The kernel runs the program, runs the code, or runs the instructions on your hardware. Runs the instructions on your hardware. The hardware returns the information to the kernel. The kernel put the information into your shell only. So the shell again convert into higher level language and give it to your user again. Okay, give it to user again. So we'll get a
Has a levels, right?
what it is.
Levels.
Which levels?
Like level 1 now to level 3, like that. Let's say when I use the like any game that should have an anti-cheat service, right? Hello.
I got it. Like
If
from your
I
face.
if I want to get play any game, it will have an anti-cheat service which will directly interact with kernel levels, right? Like level 1, level 2, and level 3.
Uh, okay, don't go to that one. So level one is like again no. So don't we don't go to that one now. Okay. So basic understanding of kernel and shell. So you want to run a program, you want to play a game, or you want to run a program, you want to write on a notepad, or you are putting a commands, whatever it is shell part only. Okay, either it is GUI or a CLI. Okay, so whatsoever it is a basically a shell only. Basically a shell only. Okay, so shell only. Shell means it's nothing but a program. Everything is a program here. It's nothing different. It is a completely OS structure. So shell understand what are the user inputs. Kernel understand So what is the information given gain from the hardware and given from the shell, like a both side interaction is there. So this is the basic things about your kernel and shell. Okay, when it is comes to the kernel and shell, what kernel will do? So will like I said hardware management, right? So simply kernel will do like a hardware related management. Okay. Kernel is hardware related management. So what is this hardware related management means? For example, disk management, process management means whenever you given an input, okay, so whenever you give an input, it should be in a process like when process is started, sleeping process, invoke the process, or execute the process, or return the process. Like there is a stages of the process is there. So once process is completed, then it is go to zombie like a exit the process kind of stuff. So entire process management, foreground process, background process. Now I'm typing, this is the one process. If I close this notepad, process is ended. Okay, if I open this notepad, process is started. So like that, it is process management. Disk management, disk partitioning kind of stuff, right? Disk partitioning, disk management, how to put a data in the disk, like these are the disk management. Network management, so network management. So you are we are using network IP addresses, network MAC addresses, sending a packet, receiving a packet. So that is a network management. Process management, disk management, network management, memory management. How to manage your RAM, processor, cache memories. So memory management like this. There are several management things are there, but these are the main basic managements. And come to the shell. Different type of shells are there, like a GUI, CLI based shells are there. Guys, we are talking in the Linux manner. So when you are talking in the Linux manner, these are the basic shells are there. So shell is user interface, user interaction, run user commands, and applications. These are the main your shell management related one, shell related one. Already I told once and twice also both the things. So don't forget what is shell also. The shell thing is so many things are about a shell is there, but we are using bash shell. So that's first only I'm telling what is bash. Born born again shell. So in a Linux and Unix, so we are using bash shell is more popular. Okay, we are using born again shell. So if you want to check with the spellings, bash. Okay, so born again shell. Okay, there's a lot of shell is there: Korn shell, K shell, T shell, C shell, shell, Bourne shell. Okay, K shell means Korn shell. Not only that one, T shell, C shell. Okay, so different type of shells are there. Depends upon the developer. Depends upon the developer. He can choose his own shell. The kernel is stable. So the kernel is, it cannot, this is kernel is normal, like a Linux kernel or Unix kernel, he take a kernel. Okay, so then he took a kernel and he can develop his own shell on the kernel operating system for a user interaction, which is he feel best, that is his kernel. Okay, so that is the thing, guys. So we use Bourne shell. So compulsory, this is the most popularly used, okay, used shell is bash shell. Okay, most commonly used shell in Linux and Unix. Most commonly used shell in Linux and Unix is bash shell. Okay, so remember that point. So the question is, so what is an operating system? From operating system to kernel? What is kernel? What is shell? These are the important questions, guys. What is OS? I'm telling questions because 11 and 12 is, guys, you must study with the interview. Anytime it will be there. Next one is, what is kernel and shell? What is kernel? What is shell? So this is the another very important questions. So what are the shell interfaces? What are the shell kind of stuff, and mostly used, mostly are commonly used, mostly used shell. Okay, so another one is a characteristics or commands or anything is there. So these are the very important in this part. Okay, guys, compulsory because it's guys, okay with this one or not? Yes, sir. Again, I put operating system, guys. When it is come to the OS or operating system, whatever it is, kernel, shell, kind of stuff. But it is divided into SOS, NOS. Okay, simple operating system. No, sometimes these are all not a mandatory, like it is like a interview or not interview or learning, no learning. It is very important to know. It is very important to know. Like, do you know Windows Server? Do you know Linux Server? Do you know Windows 10? Do you know Ubuntu Server? Like that is a very important. So you know this operating system or not? Or not? That's the only thing. But what happening? So when it comes to the basic things, people will ask the things. Tell me a type of operating systems, user interface wise, multitasking wise. Do you know about OS? Like, yeah, I know Windows 10, Windows Server. No. It is not. I'm asking, do you know this one or not? So that is why you should compulsory know it. Okay, and also compulsory know. So what is the example for it? Simple operating systems are usually like a desktop type operating system. Okay, desktop OS is only desktop, or you can say workstation OS. Workstation OS. So simply say MS-DOS, MS-DOS, Windows desktops like a Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 8, like this. These are a Windows operating system. Guys, network operating system is nothing but a server OSs. Server OSs. Example, Windows servers. So current version is 2022. We are not touched it. So then we will go to 2019 only. 2016. So like that. So there are so many. I'm going to top to bottom. So normally we should write from the Windows servers means. Remember, Windows server means start with NT. Next 2000. Next is 2003, 2008, 2008 R2. Okay, 2012, 2012 R2. Okay, 2016, 2019, 2022. Okay, these are the Windows servers. So if you try to go like this, so the latest version become a last. So like this. Okay, so just for a okay, so like these are the Windows servers, server OSs, Windows servers. And then I will remove this one. Next type of OSs is like Linux based OSs. So Linux, the current version is 8, guys. Linux is not a Linux, it is enterprise Linux. Linux is so many different type of Linux is there. I am talking about enterprise Linux. Any Linux here said like I am using Linux. Check it. It is enterprise Linux or normal Linux. The enterprise Linux latest version is 8. Okay, when it is come to the enterprise Linux, it is a version is 8. I am using 7. I am using 7. Okay, and in your syllabus you have a 5. Okay, in 5. Okay, I know Linux from 5. 4 I don't have not much idea about a 4. Okay, so I didn't remember 4 also. I start teaching from 5. 5 I start using Linux thing from the 5. 5 is okay for me, and 6 is very good. So actually I feel I'm the Linux trainer. When I feel I'm the Linux trainer, I'm giving Linux training. Linux training is actually 6. And full-fledged, like 3 books are there, 3 books training is given in 7. Latest one is 8. And I didn't feel last year, before last year I started 8. Because before last year, 2020 only 8 is released. I don't like that 8, so small confusions are there. Okay. So then I will go to is 8, 7, 6, like that. It will goes. Guys, 7 means not 7. So always 7, 7.1, 7.2, 7.5, like that. 6, 6.3, 6.5 highlighted versions. 6.3, 6.5, 6.8. 8, 8.1 maybe like that. So now we are using 7 2009 like this. This is the version we are using. Okay. So Linux, in the Linux we are using enterprise Linux, not every Linux we are using. Unix. Unix is not again single distribution, multiple different type of Unix is there. HP UX, Solaris. Solaris 11, Solaris 10. These are the versions. Okay, that's why it is better to know what is the latest version. Solaris 11 itself, it is very old one. I'm the trainer for Solaris 10, directly administration only. That's why I got a little bit knowledge on a Linux, Unix kind of stuff. Okay, and that is a self learning only that time. Okay, I didn't learn Linux. Okay, so whatsoever it is, guys. NOS, Network Operating System, is nothing but a server operating system. Windows servers, Linux servers, Unix servers comes up. Next, in the operating system, it is always multi-user, user and tasking wise. User and task based. Okay, operating systems are there. Single user, single task operating system. Multi-user, no. Single user, multitasking. Next one is multi-user, multitasking. single user multitasking. Task or tasking, you can use both the words. Okay, multi-user multitasking or a task. Okay, so these are the things. Task means a work, one command or a one work, one application running kind of stuff, right? So task. Okay, so like this, single task is means only one time, one work, one user kind of stuff. The example is MS-DOS. Okay, only one user can able to access, only one thing you can able to run it. So no background thing, no multiple tasks you can't run at a time. Single user multitasking is a Windows, all type of operating system, both desktop and server operating system. So Windows OSs comes under single user multitasking, all Windows kind of OSs. Multi-user multitasking is Linux, Unix operating system. Okay, Linux and Unix operating systems. These are very basic things. Very basic things. Okay, so virtually like it is not mandatory kind of stuff. Next, the evolution of operating system, guys. Very oldest operating system means nothing but instructions. What is operating system? Nothing but giving instructions. So how to do, how to load a program. Okay, so what is operating system? Is nothing but a bunch of instructions. Okay, it is nothing but instructions giving to our processor. Section to the processor or operate the processor, operate the hardware. That is operating system. What operate? Operating. Operate. It means your operate means how to do, how to give instructions. Give instructions to how to give instructions. So based on operating system only. Okay, that is basically an operating system. So earlier mechanically they are giving then electrical connections, then start loading from the chips like ICs. First one is assemble language. They use a assemble language to load operating system. Okay, so different type of operating system came. Next they start writing C language to load the operating system. Use the C language. So write a program with a C language. Then C++, then Java, then multiple things, .NET frameworks. So many things are came up to run operating system building kind of stuff. Language also they are using. Initially assemble language, then C language, then further development. Then you have to research on that one. Okay. Next one is BSD. Different type of Berkeley University related BSD. This is one operating system. Okay, free BSD. There's a list is there. So I'm going to go to list. Okay, so yeah, BSD one list. There's a few list is there. I don't want to go that much this because we don't have that much of time. Unix is an operating system initially built based on assemble language, and then next one is C language. It is not a open source. So it's not a completely open source type. Even though it is available freely, but it is not a open source. Okay. Less distributions. Than Linux. Less distributions on the Linux. So major distributions are like HP, UX, IBM. This is from HP. Okay, IBM develop things. Okay, mainframe develop different organizations. So this is a HP organization develop HP UX, HP Linux, mainframe. Sun Solaris. Sun Microsystems. Polaris operating system, mainframe, developer, Z by OS kind of stuff. IBM also, yeah, mainframe is AS by 100, ES by 400, something is there. Okay, so like IBM also developed the BSD kind of stuff. Okay, so different type of Unix distributions are there. POXI, okay, portable operating system. So one of the distribution is Linux is also there, portable. Linus Torvald. Linus Torvald is the guy still available. Okay, so he is the guy took some part of Unix, and develop Unix kernel and develop Linux kernel. Linux is generally it's a kernel only. Okay, took some part of Unix and developed the Linux kernel. So Linux kernel developed by Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds. You want Linus Torvalds. He is the guy. Okay, so we are no Git, right? So the Git is also his only. Git is also currently his only. So see, it is subsurface Git Linux. Okay, Linux Foundation. It's a coder, that's it. Okay. Linus Torvalds. Remember his name. Not only Linux guys, Git is also his Linus Torvalds. Okay, the Git concept is also from Linus Torvalds, and he make Linux as open source. It means anyone can able to take Linux kernel and develop. So thing is, anyone can take Linux kernel, okay, and develop on their OS and distribute also. So they can develop, and like you can, if you know how to develop the OS from the Linux kernel, you can freely download the Linux kernel from the internet. So simply put it, Linux kernel download. So like this, kernel.org, go to kernel.org. Okay, so these are the current versions, available versions, like here you can able to download. Okay, and then you can develop your one. This is the stable version. Current version is 5. This is stable version. Mainline version. These are long-term versions. Okay, so I'm putting. Okay, so this is the main. This is I will not on only one Linux. Kernel version. The stable version. This is the stable version. Okay, remaining is it is on development. This is on development. Okay, everyone like a Red Hat will come up, and already I told no, so Red Hat is there, Fedora is there, and all. So whatsoever it is, they will take it and they develop into their machines and all. Okay, so you want to download, like you can click on this one, you can download it to your machine and start creating and start develop. But you must know how to develop it like that. Okay, so this is the website. If you want to download, then you can also download from this website. It is came with the zip file. Zip means tar file. So 121 MB Linux kernel. I don't want to download anything. Cancel. Okay, these are other locations. If you want to download, then also you can able to download from here. Just I'm giving information, guys. Remember what is the latest version of kernel. So Linus Torvald, what he done? He take a Unix and develop the Linux kernel. Okay, on his name and Unix, the Linux or Linux. Actually, you should say Linux, not Linux. Linux, because it's a Linus Torvald. Linux. Okay, so make it that one. So what is this open source? What are the licensing kind of stuff? GPL, General Public License. General Public License. What is General Public License? So whenever you create a product and you want to give it to the public, so then the people should agree with the license, right? So that is in the Linux, it is there, and it is registered like a GNU, Linux or GNU. So what is a GNU? GNU, not Unix. It is registered like this. GNU is not Unix. What is G? G means GNU, N means not, U means Unix. Okay, these are the two things you have to build. Of course, I said current version of kernel, but when you are having an operating system, you must know how to check the your kernel version. This is the one question. How to check kernel version. What is the GNU? GNU not Unix. GPL General Public License. So these two things you must know about a Linux. Okay. So GitHub. So directly you can download it from that Torvalds site. Here it is. Linux kernel. Okay. So compulsory Linux, these things you must know. Guys, once again, I will go. What are the very important things about your Linux? First of all, what is an operating system, and what is kernel? What is shell? What kernel will do? What shell will do? What are the different type of shells are there? What shell we are using? Bash shell we are using. What kernel will do? So what are the managements of the kernel will do it? How to interact with the kernel kind of stuff. Next. So that is Linux related. So this is a overall operating system related. So Linux is multi-user multitasking. Linux is multi-user multitasking. So understand the operating system. When it is come to the operating system, it is instructional like that one. Like so different ways of building an operating system is there. Different type of distributions of operating systems are there. But whatsoever the list it is, okay. So important to understand is Unix operating system and Linux operating system. So Linux operating system came from Unix only. It's not a whole Unix kind of stuff. It is a small part of, okay, of Unix kernel only. And Linus Torvald developed the Linux operating system from Unix operating system. Okay, Unix kernel only, and he made that one as a open source. Is made that one as open source. It means anyone can take a Linux kernel and develop their own operating system. Their own operating system. Distribute the OS also possible. And next one is the current Linux version is 5.16.7, the stable version I'm talking about. And there is a license kind of stuff thing is there, like a general public license, means rules and regulations of using the my product is that is will given by general public licenses. GNU type of license we will get it in a Linux, that is a GNU, not Unix. How to check Linux version? Uname space -r. Guys, earlier when I am trying to tell about a Linux, only few things I told, one or two things are missing, like a Linux Windows comparison kind of stuff. I think it is enough of theory. And remember one or 2 points of what are case sensitive. Case sensitive. Linux is case sensitive. So compulsory caption small. Be careful with it. Disk partitioning is not like our Windows. Disk partitioning is not our Windows. The management is little bit weird. Okay. So remember one more point. So afternoon or tomorrow, I will tell the comparison again between Windows and Linux. Compulsory guys, Windows and Linux. Find it out. You should also find it out. So you have to find and study. Okay, not leave like that. Okay, Linux and Unix differences also very important. Okay. Compulsory must know what is the difference between Windows and Linux. In the first part, I told about a Windows operating system, that is, about a Linux introduction. That time only I done a little differences. Windows is no case sensitive, Linux case sensitive. Windows required more hardware footprint, and coming to the Linux, less hardware footprint, means less hardware consumptions are there. In Windows is comes under Microsoft. Windows is under Microsoft because Microsoft is a proprietary. Linux is no proprietary. Linux is a open source and it contains a lot of distributions, and those are like a different distributions are there. So anyone take a Linux and develop their own Linux operating system, they can distribute it. Okay. Linux main purpose we use for a server purpose, not for a desktop purpose. Of course, there is a Linux desktops also there. Okay, Linux desktops are there. So Windows-based applications cannot run on a Linux, and that's why the Windows-related virus files won't run in a Linux. So that's why it is a Linux-free, virus-free, and it is a multi-user multitasking operating system. It is a multi-user multitasking operating system. Means single server we can connect multiple users. We can able to connect multiple users to single server through remote access. And remote access is also free, like a SSH protocol, which is secure shell. It is an encrypted type of communication. So no compromise in the security. It is okay. Support is very less. So problem with the Linux is unlike Microsoft is an organized part and Windows is their product. So if you are down, you install Windows 11, for example, and you purchase Windows 11, you install Windows 11, and you got a problem, contact Microsoft, they will give you support. But Linux is not like that because Linux is very complex operating system. It's not like a Windows is user friendly. Linux is complex operating system. And if you've done something wrong and no one knows what is wrong in that one. Okay. So that is very difficult to know if you done mistake in that one. Okay. So that's a compulsory which person is done that one. So compulsory has to write a report or he has to tell what to do. Okay. That's the thing. And a trained professional, compulsory trained professional is compulsory is required. Okay, that too experienced person is required. So experience is more important than a Linux touching. Okay, and as my example as morning I told, that is Windows is a more hardware footprint, means you are running an application also, it will take more space from your system. Linux we use for GUI and CLI, both the things are available, so you can use GUI or a CLI also. Okay, so Jenkins web access, git access. Okay, so what I'm going, yeah. And also I told Linux is when you come to Linux and Unix, there is a kernel and shell is there. Okay, so kernel and shell is there. So what is kernel, what is shell? Compulsory go for that one. And what are the different operating system? And Unix and Linux difference is also there. Unix is Unix, Linux is not Unix. Linux is developed by Linus Torvald. Unix is developed by Bell Laboratories, Bell Labs. Okay, I know. I think you know Bell Labs, C language. Okay, so Unix is very limited distributions like that, because of it's not an open source. It's not a open source like a kernel and shell not given to the people as we know. Okay, and that to a specific organizations only develop the Unix. Not everyone take a Unix and develop and distribute like a Linux. It's not like that. Okay, so including Linux is also distributed from the Unix only, like a this one. So that is the thing, guys. Take a break, just 5-10 minutes. Okay, take a 5 to 10 minutes break. 5 minutes relax, that's it. Because it's already 1 o'clock. I actually just a 5 minutes relax. I'm going to show you how to install the Linux step by step. Once I show you, then I will give you a break. Once it is installation completed, we'll take a break. Okay. So two, three things are required to know. So then only we can able to install, guys. I'm not going with the theory part. So only installation is there. So step by step, be careful while you're installing. Either I will split into two parts or maybe combine into one part only. Relax 5 minutes. Okay.